Time.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My very special guest today, Golda Zahra. She's a singer and a model, and we're coming back in with Golda. The like, what goes through? Do you have to put yourself in a certain frame of mind? I mean, it's so emotional. You can feel your emotions.
When I sing,
Yeah, when you or like this song, for instance, it's such
oh,
a isn't it kind of a it's one of those songs that really gets you. It kind
it
of
does. I
right.
have to be honest, it gets me too while I'm singing it. I just let the emotions like flow. In the sense that I don't try to like if I feel like not crying, that's bad, but if I feel more emotional than usual, or if it really touches me, I don't like try to like kind of put a wall against it. It'd be like, oh no, technique, it's gonna ruin
Mhm.
your voice. Actually, I think when sometimes you hear the emotion through the voice, it's a lot better than having someone that's technically perfect and kind of on the cold side. Um,
More authentic, right? You
More
feel it with
authentic,
I
yeah.
feel it with you.
Yeah, and I feel like singers, especially opera singers, opera in the 1800s was kind of like going to see a movie, So we need to be in like I remember there's a famous Maria Callas quote that she said that we are actors that sing and not singers that act. So I think just let it be, if you feel if it's authentic, it's good. You know what I mean? Don't try to like overthink it or put everything in boxes or try to choreograph it because then it's always going to be a little bit fake and a little bit, just it's not going to hit as well as something that's authentic.
And so you feel it when you sing that song.
Definitely. That one is something, yeah. Also like somewhere when that we also heard. That's another song that when I sing it, it's very difficult for me to not have tears in my eyes when I hear that song because it's so profound and it has such a beautiful meaning to it.
What does it mean to you where it affects you that way? What do you
Somewhere.
what does it mean to you personally where it affects you like that? Do you go to an experience, or do you just the words and the
The
melody and
words. It's
yeah.
it well the melody is beautiful. Also memory.
Mhm.
Come on, the melody is beautiful. And memory, it's a little bit different because the character is a cat, you know what I mean? So it's not like a person. But you can imagine like the feeling of like maybe an abandoned animal, a cat that just wants to be loved by someone, It's that's kind of like the feeling because the character is talking about when they used to have a family and they used to be loved and they used to live in a house and now they're abandoned. It's something kind of really touching.
Mhm.
I'm tearing up thinking about it now. uh,
Mhm.
but I think it's the same with somewhere thinking, in a perfect place, two people that love each other and they just want to be able to live happily and without pain or drama. It's the same thing. They're two situations that it's like it's difficult not to get touched by the words when you hear it. So
So true.
yeah.
Well, you sing it beautifully.
Thank you.
You have studied privately with some of the greatest Italian opera masters, and you currently study exclusively or have with the world-renowned soprano Barbara
Yeah,
Frittoli, excuse me, I'm going to keep messing that one
it's
up.
all right.
Frittoli, sorry, Barbara, in Milan.
Yeah.
So she's an Italian operatic soprano, specializing in operas by Verdi and Mozart,
Yes.
and has sung leading roles in opera houses throughout Europe and the United States, such as La Scala and Milan and Metropolitan Opera in New York. How did you meet Barbara? Or did she
Okay.
find you?
I found her because I'm a super fan of Maestra Frittoli. I saw online that she was having a master class in Milan, and so I was able to become a part of it as a singer. And I remember because she is like I'm learning a lot of the repertoire that she sang and that she sings. And out of all the people that I listen to, like to just like to have get a gist of the opera, because before I start really getting into the nitty-gritty, I listen to the whole opera to get a gist of it. And she was one of the she was always a person that I would choose to listen to. And I just it was so amazing. I remember I worked with her in this one master class, and she liked me. She was like, "There's a lot we need to work on, but I like you. I see some potential." And so she gave me a chance. I went to another master class, and from then I was able to I asked her, I said, "Can I work with you privately?" This is a kind of like the same story about like the Broad stage, you know, it's like it's luck. And so I was
And bravery. You're very brave,
bravery, yeah, a little bit ballsy. And she,
confident. Yeah.
yeah, and she said, yeah, why don't you come over? And this is my phone number. When you want, you can come over and work with me in Milan. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And since then, that's been 2 years ago. She's dramatically changed my voice in such a positive way, and I'm just I'm so grateful for what she's done for me as a singer. Like she's just an amazing person. And above all, I mean, there will never be any other singer up to her level because she's one of the true last divas of opera. And I see a lot of singers out there, and no one could. She just has something else. You know what I mean? I don't think there will ever be anyone like her because she has the perfect mix of a beautiful voice technique that's very solid, but a true emotional gravitas to what when she sings. You know, and there's just not people out there like that do what she does and what she did. And so it's such an honor to be able to sing, and hopefully I can be able to get 10% of what she is, you know, but it's truly an honor. Yeah.
So the talent of, you said at the beginning, you know, any people, any, not anybody, but if you practice and you sing, you can reach, you can hit some of those notes. Um, but you describe your mentor here as uh, the way she the way she sings, the way that she presents the story. Is it almost like one of these great actors that when you see them, you know, like let's say Meryl Streep, you know, there's nobody that can do what she does for different characters, and you believe it every single time. But it's nuance, right? It's the choices that they make, and would you say that she's the same in a way where the voice is just a different way of presenting
Yes.
an opera that others have sang, but in a
In
style
her own way. Yeah.
high level.
Yeah, exactly. That I think that's a really great comparison. She's just such a convincing performer, you know? And I think that's something that a lot of people in opera are missing because we're just focusing on technique, 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 technique. And you can have someone that's technically perfect, maybe even with a huge voice, but they don't give you the goosebumps that Barbara could give you, you know?
Mhm.
It's that pathos, you know,
Mm.
that a lot of people don't have, and that's something that she has, and that's what makes her special, you know?
Yeah. Give us something that we should listen to for beginners like me
Oh,
that she's done that you really admire, or that would showcase what you're talking about.
for beginners, I think I love Marriage of Figaro. She does an amazing Marriage of Figaro. She also does an amazing Don Giovanni, which I think is great. She sings Don Elvira, that she sings beautifully. She's also very funny because Don Elvira, the character is usually considered like how can I don't, not a widow, but you know, like like maybe like a middle-aged woman that's not unmarried without children, you know. I don't know the term, like how to, but kind of like, you know, like kind of like desperately asking for attention. That's what her character is basically. That's her character. And she does it in such a clever, funny way. It's really fun, you know. So I think one of those two operas by Mozart is a great way to go if you want to listen to her.
How would you appreciate opera for someone that's new or that doesn't get it? How would you, is it for you, you went with your parents and it was just this magical evening on stage that captured your attention and inspired you to follow a lifelong career
Yeah.
in mastering and perfecting and working on your voice, to match and pay respect to those that have come before you. Was it that, do you think it's best to enjoy music, opera with friends, like someone that like you that really loves it, Does that help, or is there another way that you recommend going in and listening differently? You
I mean,
know, because it is different.
yeah, it definitely is different. I think for first timers, I think it depends on the opera you watch. Because you don't want to go and watch the Ring Cycle that's like what it's like 9 hours long and you get bored. It's like you can't watch something that's heavy. You have to watch something that's fun, that's light. So I'd recommend an opera like Barbara of Seville by Rossini, which I think someone could like because it's also very funny. Um, you can even also watch Marriage of Figaro by Mozart, which is a comical opera. I'd stay away from dramatic operas if for first timers. And I think if you have someone, it doesn't have to be someone per se that knows a connoisseur of the industry, but at least someone that knows music and is willing to share the experience with you. I think that's good, because you could like, you could have a good experience and maybe laugh together or share something in common. So
Hmm.
I think that's a good way to go to the opera. And obviously with an open mind, because
Yeah.
music like everything else. I feel like a lot of the times people wrongfully imagine opera just for a certain echelon or a certain type of people or a certain age.
Right.
And I don't believe that. I mean, it unfortunately when you go to the opera, when you go to an operatic theater, you see that type of person. But I feel like me as an opera singer, I want to be able to show that opera's for everyone. Opera can be for any age, for any class. Well, I don't believe in classes, but you know what I mean? Like any
Yeah.
person, any person, any walk of life that they want to be able to open their heart and their mind and their ears and listen to good music, I think they could enjoy it. So I think that's very important for I feel like opera theaters to take in consideration, especially opera artists to take in considerations that you want to make it a welcoming place. You don't want to
You're a great representation for opera, right? I mean, for new generations,
yeah.
for people. It's real. How many? Um, I was going to say young women go into, or women go into young women. I think. How many? I mean, that's is it? It's not a. It's not the first choice. Like, is there a statistic of how many? Is it
It's not
still
common.
growing, or is it's not common, right?
It's not common. We're in a niche, as in like if I don't know because I haven't been to many competitions in America, but in Italy, every competition I can go from the north to the south of Italy, I see the same people. So
Yeah.
we all kind of know each other in the operatic. You say, oh, you've heard of Golda? Yeah, yeah, I know her. I saw her at this competition. Oh, you heard of this person? Yeah, yeah, I saw her at the finals of this one, or I was in a master class with them. We all kind of know each other. So I think it's not that common that there's a lot of female opera singers my age, especially singers that stay in opera because I
Yeah.
feel, I mean, opera, it's a wonderful art, and I think that it's kind of gone in a certain way that people kind of expect it to be for older people. So I feel like young people like me, you're not used to seeing a young singer like me, but that doesn't mean that we're bad or anything. You just give us the chance to sing, and we could show you that we could sing just as good, maybe better than a 50-year-old singer. I don't know. Give us a
Yeah.
chance. So
Well, it would seem that the older generation would also want to support you and other artists like you that are entering the field and that have a real love and passion for it
I think
to
it's
keep it
wise.
alive, right?
Yeah,
And then to bring it to new generations. And um, anyway, I just wondered, I was curious about that.
yeah.
How does opera fit in today's world, do you think? Why is it so important to keep it alive and introduce it to new people,
Well,
generations?
that's a really good question. And I'm gonna try to give it the importance because it is an important question. I think that, like I said before, opera in the 1800s was basically like movies for people. People would go to the opera like we'd go today to the movie theater or open up Netflix to watch a movie or a series. I think in order to keep opera relevant, to keep it growing, we need to see more younger people involved in it, such as myself, such as other colleagues that were in our 20s, 30s. When you see younger people there, you're like, okay, that already makes it more relevant for an audience. Obviously, I think you need to remember that all of the different stories that make up opera are things that can happen today. You know, like for example, Romeo and Juliet, you know, who hasn't had problems with their in-laws? You know, this is kind of like it's kind of like a very basic way to say it, but when you take the fruit of the story, it can happen even today. Or I don't know, La Boheme, it's a love story, you know, they're basically love stories or dramas, but it's like this can happen in real life too. La Traviata is a story about, you know, a courtesan, basically, it's kind of like the story of Pretty Woman, an escort that falls in love with their client, or the client that falls in love with the escort. That can happen in, like, you know, in the 21st century. So I think just remembering that the stories can kind of, when you take them out of the context, don't look at the big wigs or the big dresses or everything, take them out of the context. They're relevant to today, you know? So, and they're always talking about emotions. Emotions are always relevant.
Yes, they are. What a great endorsement for exploring for a beginner, like, you know, someone that doesn't listen to this to opera and to the and to experience these stories that have been passed down for generations and are still true today. I love how you put that,
Thank you.
Golda. Very, very nice. So we're going to go to break here real quick. Um, and then we're going to come back and talk about the concert. What are
Yeah.
we going to break with?
Yeah, we're going on to break with Tanto Amore Segreto, which means a lot of secret love from Turandot by Puccini. And I hope you guys enjoy.
Oh, enjoy. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.